These are split unit HVAC, and they do heating and air. So what we got here is this is your outside unit, and these are your copper tubing lines that go up to the inside unit. These are your electrical lines which go up to your sub panel or goes down to your circuit breaker box. These are your water lines that take care of all the condensation that's taken out of the room that you're heating or cooling. Water comes out obviously when you're cooling, and then heat doesn't, but you got to have drainage lines. These are your disconnect boxes. So you got to have a disconnect for each one of the units in case you ever need to work on them or do anything with them. And that's the outside unit. There's another part in there, and we're going to go show you that. It's the inside unit, and these are good because a lot of people, as far as heating and air, you don't have to have ductwork for these. You lose 80% of your energy efficiency out of your ductwork. That's what I did in the military. I did HVAC, a lot of other stuff too, utility repair. So the fact that these are ductless, like I just added, here I'll show you, I just added 1,000 square feet, or about, well it's a little less, but almost 1,000 square feet to the upstairs. Put these stairs in, and this is the inside unit.
No, we're gonna go this direction.
Yeah, this is the inside unit. So here's your inside unit, and these are the lines that connect them to the outside. These are drain lines. I just haven't framed in the drain lines yet. And the electrical actually goes behind the wall, and there's the electrical panel over there. So that's pretty much all it is to it, but there's things you need to know. They sell a bunch of different kinds of these under different pretenses. They save about 40 to 53%. I've seen that. Let's go show.
They are remote control as well.
Yeah, those things are remote control, and so they also are programmable. You can put an app on your phone. There's a thing you can put in your computer. You can turn them on, like on your way home you can turn them on, you can turn them off. I'm going to put 2 more in my house. I got like 4,100 square feet. I'm going to put 1 on the second floor and 1 on the first floor, and I'm going to get rid of my main unit. And I'll save a ton of money. My utility bills didn't do anything, and I added a whole almost 1,000 square feet. So you got to read the fine print, though. There's the problem. If you get the wrong kind of units, some of them will say DIY, but if you get the wrong kind of unit, then you're going to have to account for other things. It looks like a good deal, but it's not. And I'll show you the differences in those. I've got some of that paperwork right here. If you have them installed and you don't have somebody with a HVAC license, then your warranty is void. And so if anything was to by chance happen to it, that's not a good thing. Electrical, a lot of people can do electrical. You're allowed to do it at your house, but unless you know how to get into the sub panel box, or you hire an electrician, then because you have to add a knock it off, Romeo. You have to add a circuit breaker to your sub panel box or your regular electrical box, and then you got to put a disconnect box out back for the unit, and you got to be able to run all the cable, which a lot of people know how to do electrical. So you could probably do that if you're good at that kind of stuff. But the HVAC license, there's no way around that. So that's one thing that none of those companies tell you. You got to have somebody with an HVAC license put it in, or it's just not going to work. So now there's let me see, I'll show them all these pictures. I got here is, like, this is one of the first ones I was showing you. There's things to consider, like your SEER rating, and the higher the SEER rating, the better, and the more you save. See, that's where it's showing savings per year, 53%. That's the highest one I've seen. I find that it's usually typically about 41%. Now here is some of the other units. There's a Mr. Cool. You'll notice this one has the copper lines, it's got the quick disconnect fittings, and it's got an electrical package that comes with it. Now, some of the other things you need to do is like the conduit you're going to need, and the brackets to mount it on a wall, unless you're just setting it on the ground, because it comes with about 25 foot of cable. That one there, you can see it's a complete set. This one here is a Gree. I like Grees, but guess what? It looks like a really good deal at $7.92, but it doesn't have the copper tubing, and it doesn't have the electrical package so that the outside unit connects to the inside unit. So if you don't have that, that means you got to go buy a harness. So it looks like a good deal until you buy the copper tubing and the electrical harness. Now here's the problem. After you buy the electrical harness, or the copper tubing, you got to have a flanging tool, because you have to flange the ends of the copper tubing. You have to have a vacuum pump because it doesn't come pre-charged, and you have to vacuum it out, and then you got to flush it with a nitrogen tank. And you're not just going to any hardware store and buying a nitrogen tank. You also got to, some of these, Mr. Cool comes pre-charged, like the Gree, the Mitsubishi, none of the others do. Gree, Mitsubishi, LG, and that's what I worked with in Iraq, was the LG and Mitsubishi, and I like those too, but they're not pre-charged. You have to have all these tools. So you're spending, $200 on a vacuum pump, a nitrogen tank, good luck, you better have a friend, and then you gotta have the flanging tool, which is not very expensive at all. But then you still gotta be able to do all the electrical. And the refrigerant, you're not just wandering down to a store and buying 410A. So this one here comes with the electrical. That one there is just the outside unit and the inside unit. See, that's why people make mistakes and they buy stuff thinking they're getting something that I can just put in. Like this here, it's just showing the inside unit. Sometimes they sell those separately. And so every now and then you'll see them advertised separate, like the inside unit and the outside unit, and it looks like a good deal, but if you don't see the whole package there, you're not getting the whole package. If it shows you an outside unit, you're getting just the outside unit. If it shows you the inside unit, you're just getting the inside unit. That one there looks like it's really cheap. Well, but you have absolutely nothing with it. So yeah, you're gonna have to go get all the extras. That's what I mean. You gotta read the fine print. This here is another option that they have. That's a Mitsubishi. That's nice. We used them over in Iraq. 150 degrees, things run 24/7. They're really good. But notice it comes with 2 inside units. Well, here's the problem with 2 inside units. To replace a average household heating and air, what you have is about $5,000 to $7,000. So when you're replacing a main inside unit, $5,000 to $7,000. Well, I don't know. Most people don't just have $5,000 to $7,000 just laying around. These things are a lot cheaper. As you can see on some of those, the prices. But the prices vary because what comes with them varies. So you got the inside unit, the outside unit, with wiring, without copper. The Mr. Cool comes pre-charged. And so that makes it a lot easier. But there's still hurdles to overcome there. And the problem with this Mitsubishi, that it has two inside units, that's really nice. But when the outside unit does fail and go out, you now have 2 inside units that don't work. It's better to almost spend a little bit of extra money and get 2 outside units. Because if one of them goes down, these things are made to, like, I can cool the 3rd floor, and the 3rd floor is an office. And when we're not using the office, then we just don't heat and cool it, because it doesn't really matter. And then the 2nd floor, well, if we're not up on the 2nd floor, then we won't have to heat and cool it. And then there's the 1st floor. So if we're not using the 1st floor, and we go upstairs, then you just go ahead and heat and cool the 2nd floor. So they're specific. You can just heat and cool parts of the house instead of the main units that the traditional ones that everyone's used to. And you got to do the whole house. And of course your basement is probably the best heated and cooled area in the whole place, because that's where all the ductwork is, or the inside of your walls. You're not living on inside your walls. When one of these units goes out, then what we did is, instead of one outside unit running 2 inside units, there's one outside and one inside. One outside, one inside, instead of one outside, 2 inside, because now you've got 2 units that failed on the inside. You just go, until you got enough money to buy another outside unit, because you can get those separately, you just go borrow one from somewhere else. Like if you've got 3 of them in your house, then you just take one off of a place that is not as important as where your main, because everybody uses the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room the most. So say something goes out on the upstairs, you can go ahead and switch out the bottom units until you got enough money to go and buy another one. So anyways, that's most of the highlights and things that you need to know. There's a lot of them are really good, but I'd say Mr. Cool's already pre-charged. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff, but the one main downfall on every single one of these is you got to have somebody with an HVAC license. And if you want to be code compliant, you should have somebody electrical do it, but you're allowed to do that in your own house. So, there you go.